screenwriter, producer, James Sweeney to the stage. I know earlier I told you to put your phones away, but I'm going to ask you to take them back out as soon as the crawl is done here. You'll scan the QR code and you can vote. This is Audience Award eligible. You give it a 5 and then we all go home. That's what happens. So thank you. So super fun. So I've started calling out films who have not played at any other queer festivals. This is your queer premiere. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I brag about the Frameline audience everywhere I go. So how was it sitting for the film at your queer premiere?
I popped in and out. I missed the car crash moment. But hopefully that landed. I peeked in though for the toe moment, and I thought you responded well to
that. So you are the writer, director, actor, and producer of the film. So this is very much your brainchild. I'm really curious, what was the first little kernel of an idea that like sprouted into this film?
Well, listen, I've always been fascinated by twins. I grew up with twins in my cultural zeitgeist. Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. I did watch their many TV shows. I had their detective books, Sister Sister, The Parent Trap. I fantasized about running into my long-lost twin in a forest, and I did ask for a twin for Christmas. That part's true, as my parents will testify. And then I dated an identical twin in my early 20s, and shortly after he broke up with me, I wrote the first draft.
Nice. The Doublemint twins, I just found out, were Katie Seagal's sister. I don't know if that's true. Doublemint gum. What was I thinking? Tell me, you're not a twin. You only had a fantasy identical twin. Were there twins in the film?
There were actually. All the actors in the support group were twins, including the background talent. So when we were when I showed up for the support group scenes, I noticed because I had to like approve like the background casting. They like send you photos, and I noticed a few people I didn't recognize. I'm like, who are they? It's like, oh well, a couple of the twins we invited didn't show up because they didn't want to imagine their twin being dead. I'm like, okay, well, but they're not twins, so you must send them home. And there was this one twin actor or background talent, who was sitting across from me as I was doing the monologue about Dean. And she was crying during my monologue, and I felt so bad because she hadn't read the script. But then she was thankfully laughing when we did the later scenes, so I think I won her back.
Way to bring her around. You do have a very particular brand of humor, and why do you want to make us so uncomfortable?
I mean, I don't know that that's my intention. I don't know, if anyone's seen my first film, I think that's not as uncomfortable.
It's emotionally true, if not factually.
Yes, exactly.
So, I mean, really part of what makes this film so funny and uncomfortable is that there is like a little Dennis in all of us. I mean, who hasn't texted one too many times? How much of Dennis is in you?
I feel like that's a question for my therapist. You know, I wrote the draft, initially a long time ago, so I feel like maybe I had more in common with Dennis in earlier stages of my life, and I guess I still hold a lot of empathy for, you know, that version of me, to quote myself.
Okay, I'll do a serious one. So in your work, I do see a lot of themes of loneliness and codependency, and I was wondering if there's anything in that exploration that kind of meets this particular moment in time.
I mean, it's interesting because this film has been gestating with me for so long. I wrote the first draft in 2015. I met my producer David Perman in 2019. Dylan's been attached since 2020. So I was thinking about this film a lot during the pandemic, which was a very lonely time for me as well as the rest of the world. So I did wonder how, like, post-pandemic, the themes might connect. I think, especially my generation as well as Gen Z and Gen Alpha, if that's what they're going to call themselves. I think we're increasingly digitally divided and also so much more aware of the lives that we think we could be leading. And I don't know, I just feel like I think for me, what the fantasy of a twin, especially as a military brat when I was a kid growing up, sort of represented like the idealization of the best friend, somebody who understands you, wants to do all the activities you want to do. Obviously, like being a twin in real life, it's more complex than that. It's not a monolithic experience, but I think for me, really this is a film about friendship, I guess I felt like I hadn't seen a story like this. I mean, honestly, I don't think I'd seen a film that centered around a straight man and a gay man being best friends at the center of it. And some of my best friends are straight men.
Really?
Really?
You mentioned Dylan and Lorelai Gilmore. How did you get them attracted to the project? You have an amazing cast here.
Thank you. I'm so happy with this cast. I used to work in casting as my day job, so I think I'm maybe a lot more familiar with actors, especially close to my age, than maybe other filmmakers would be. So I was very familiar with Dylan's work. I think he possesses, in addition to being extremely charismatic, he's also a chameleon actor, which I think is rare to find in a leading man. I mean, the blunt, unfortunate part of this industry is if you're trying to get anything financed, you do have to think of like certain names who quote unquote mean something to financiers, although, as I said, this film took many years to get the financing, so maybe he didn't mean as much as I thought, I think I saw a lot of, I wouldn't say untapped potential, because I think he's been doing great work. I just think in terms of maybe the industry's perception of him, he was coming off of two young adult franchises, Teen Wolf and The Maze Runner, and I think he was making a very intentional pivot to champion original work, champion young filmmakers, and honestly that's kind of rare in an actor who I think like the leading men of his generation are usually chasing like Marvel projects and really established filmmakers, but he's somebody who like took a risk on me, who was relatively green, and he actually read the script and watched my first film and came prepared to the meeting, and I think that's a testament to his confidence in his taste and who he is as a person, and I just think he's an extremely formidable actor, but also I think what was the most pivotal part of casting him was that he was just a great collaborator, and for me, wearing so many hats, I was really looking for somebody that could be a partner in crime, and we've become dear friends in real life, and part of that's because it took so long to make the movie, but I think that ended up paying dividends on the screen. As for Lauren, I am a huge fan of Gilmore Girls. For anyone who's seen my first film, there's a few Gilmore Girls references throughout it, so I thought it might be a little too meta to cast her, but I got over that. I tend to write specifically, so I was really just looking for people who fit like the aura, like Ashley Franchosi, who plays Marcy. That was the most difficult role to cast, because I was looking for somebody who sort of naturally possessed the guilelessness, but also had so much emotional depth. If you're not familiar with her work, or maybe you are and haven't seen her, she was the sort of the Nightingale. She usually does very dark roles, but in real life she's extremely endearing and charming, and this was like the first movie where she got to smile a lot.